I'm about to show you how I was able to absolutely skyrocket my social skills as a complete rejected nerdy loser, and it didn't even have to do with actually training my social skills. And it all comes down to this simple question that I'm going to ask you right now when you look at these two images. Who is going to be treated better? Is it the guy on the left or is it the guy on the right? Well, the answer you're probably going to say is the guy on the right, yeah? And that is because the answer was determined by something called the halo effect. And the halo effect is the phenomenon. It is literally scientifically proven in studies, and it determines social acceptance and inclusion. So to put it simply, the more attractive you are, the better looking you are, the more likely you are to be accepted and perceived as a good person in society. And you can see here, a perfect example of this. It applies to both females and males. You can see here an attractive girl. This was literally a study done. An attractive girl with a pop tire, is standing here, and hundreds of guys are asking if they can help instantly, right? Whereas the overweight, ugly girl, she's asking for some help, and only a couple guys show up. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, this was a study. They had an ugly girl stand out on the street, an attractive girl stand out on the street, and it was something like, their car tire was popped, or they needed help with their groceries. And for some specific reason, the more attractive girl got more help and got more offerings and, just performed better overall. And that is because, the rule of equals and opposites with the halo effect occurs, right? So the more attractive you are, the more help you're going to receive, the more positive experiences you're going to have. And the more unattractive you are, the opposite is true, right? So the entry point to any social interaction, or even your general well-being, is determined by your physical attraction. Like, okay, for example, these girls right here, their safety is at risk. Like, they might not be able to get home, they might lose their job if they have this pop tire and they can't get help, right? And the halo effect is so brutal that it goes all the way to this extent, right? Imagine you're standing over somebody who is literally dying, who literally needs mouth to mouth. Imagine they're an attractive person, like an attractive girl. We're not talking about guys, right? Pause. Attractive girl. You would probably instantly be okay with giving them mouth to mouth, right? But what if it was like a fat, disgustingly ugly person? Like, as much as you hate to admit it, even though you're going to say you're a good person and, you jump to help people in any instance, the brutal reality is you'd probably second guess it. You'd probably get this weird cringe moment in your head where you're like, oh, fuck, should I even do this? Like, obviously you will, because you're a good person, but there's still that instant, dissatisfaction and, disassociation with people who are unattractive. And like I said, the more attractive you are, the more likely you're able to be perceived as good and have social success, right? You can see here, motherfuckers on Tinder, right? You've probably seen this guy, Tyler, 31. He's literally saying, I have a criminal record for beating a woman, but we all have a past, right? And because he is an attractive guy, you can get away with this. He got hundreds and thousands of likes on this fucking picture, right? And it's because as you increase attractiveness, you can simply get away with more stuff, and that's the brutal reality. But you still have to put yourself into an environment and make yourself approachable, right? And now that is where it comes to us. That is where it comes to guys like you and me, exactly how I was and how I'm going to help you. Because no wonder you are struggling, right? This is probably how you look, right? We understand that, being attractive exhibits the halo effect, but being unattractive makes you fall into the phalo effect or the horn effect, which is when you're going to get treated negatively, right? And falling into the phalo effect means you are likely out of shape, genuinely ugly, perceived as uncanny or repulsive, and you have no social proof, or you're simply just a low standard human. And on top of this, if you have no social skills, then you are completely fucked, right? And you can see in the picture, guys, like, this was me. This was me playing video games every single day, being a complete nerdy loser, just like you probably are right now. And then you'll sit here and complain at why you can't meet girls, why you can't make friends, why you're not social, and why you have no confidence. And honestly, it doesn't really come down to your social skills. It comes down to how you're perceived in society. Because you've probably heard this standard bullshit advice that you probably expect me to give, and it's to just be confident. It's to override your mental thoughts and just not give a shit, and not give a fuck and just be confident. But that is fucking cope, because the way you're treated and the way things happen to you in the real world is simply a reflection of traits that you have. And if you have no traits, like you probably have right now, being a skinny, nerdy loser, then there's no wonder why you're struggling in social environments, because you haven't even breached the barrier into being accepted first. people are already looking at you and they're already getting a negative bias towards you. So then, of course, you're going to have problems with confidence, right? That's why you need to become attractive first, and then it's going to be easier for people to instantly approve of you, right? Because put it this way, right? If you see two people approach you, one is an attractive person and the other one is unattractive, and they haven't even spoken a word to you yet, right? You're going to think that the person who is unattractive is going to want something from you before they even open their mouth. If they look at you, you're going to be like, oh fuck, do I really want to talk to this person? What are they going to ask? You know, are they going to want something? Are they going to beg for money? But the attractive person, you're going to assume that maybe they're just asking for directions. And that's why it's a feedback loop, that if you are attractive, you get away with more, you can be more confident, and vice versa. So knowing this, knowing that we need to improve our attraction and bias towards the halo effect, how do we actually do this? Physique development, as it is the majority of the body that people see, is going to be the answer, and it was the answer for me. It's going to be the answer for you, right? Because people have time at a distance to judge and perceive you. And that's what I mean. How would you perceive someone who's trying to talk to you? If they were fat, if they were ugly, if they were just unappealing, right? You would ignore them, or you would think that they're going to say something bad. But an attractive person, the complete opposite. And now the reason why this is going to work for you specifically is because, like I said, the physical world reflects traits that you have. The way you're treated reflects traits that you have. And chances are, if you're like me, you're a constant overthinker and you've never really had anything going for you. You've never really had anything that was a true achievement or something to be truly confident about. You're in your head, you see yourself as negative already. So you're constantly rejecting yourself mentally. So if you can build something, being a good physique, this is going to give you something to reinforce your own positive beliefs, and therefore you're going to achieve a bit more confidence, and it's not going to be as hard to interact socially, right? And you can see here, this is the effects of building the physique, right? I went from 60 kilos, completely skinny, complete loser. You can see on my face, I was just insecure, depressed looking, to 85 kilos, built an attractive physique, and now it's led to social interactions, you know, being out in public, breaking the barrier, being able to not even have good social skills, but still infiltrate, you know, the social market. And that's why you've probably heard the saying of like, Chad does what Chad wants, and, you know, Chad doesn't even need to be fucking, you know, normal. He can just be a weirdo, but, you know, people still like him, and that's because Chad's attractive, right? And this is the same kind of aspect. Chances are for you, you're not going to be a highly attractive guy naturally, so we have to do something about that to leverage the halo effect. That's going to be the physique. And trust me, the benefits are incredible. You will see when you fucking do this that you will get girls and you will make friends and you will feel confident as fuck. And via that, your social skills will just naturally improve. When it comes to the physique, we still have to understand that there is a correct physique and an incorrect physique to build. And if you build the wrong physique, you will actually leverage the halo effect more than the halo effect, right? And jumping into it with the halo physiques, this is what we want to be building. This is what I'm going to teach you how to build, right? That is the physique that has a lean body mass. It has a V-taper where your body is shaped like a flip triangle or a trapezium, and that's the general shape of your body. This is biologically wired in the brains of women and men to be seen as attractive and deemed worthy of respect. And you can see here all these guys are exhibiting these traits. They also have notable signs of fitness or health biomarkers from a distance. So if you saw one of these guys in the distance, you would see his frame, you would see his muscle, you would see his vascularity probably in his forearms when he's wearing a shirt. And you would see the attractive look on his face. And that's interesting because these good physiques are often associated with attractive male features and bone structures that are masculine and, you know, indicative of attraction. And it's interesting this because it's when you build the physique that it will actually carry over to every other aspect of your life and improve things like your face as well. And now you have the phalo physiques. These are the type of physique that is just going to honestly potentially make you even more repulsive than you were in the first place, because right now you're a skinny loser, you're a nerd, you're a reject, right? And you already feel bad about yourself. You don't want to be creating more reasons for people to see you as bad or see you as uncanny or repulsive. We're trying to appeal to the main population here, right? So these guys are trying to appeal to size expectations, and they're trying to go for that typical, you know, the gym bro, the just be big to stand out. It doesn't work. They've often got a loose or soft appearance, and this is like high body fat in terrible areas. You can see here they all look kind of bloated and inflamed. Even me back in the day when I was trying to appeal for, you know, just being big to get some presence, to try and be confident, my face bloated up. And what do you think that's going to do for my general confidence? If my physique looks like shit, I'm not even happy with it, and then my face bloated as a result of that, I'm going to have no confidence at all. There's no point even getting social and working on my social skills if people are going to just see me as a weirdo and instantly reject me before I even open my mouth, right? Then they're lacking the flow effect, because you can notice how the face looks pretty bad and so does the body, right? Compared to the halo physiques over here, everything flows in a masculine, attractive way, whereas this is not flowing at all. And that's a sign of health problems, that's a sign of training problems. It's just indicative of an unattractive person, right? And this is because training for an attractive female gaze physique inadvertently optimizes your hormones, health markers, and will therefore improve your overall attractiveness, like I said, because there are lacking areas of these people's lives, and the reason why they look like shit is because they aren't doing things right. Whereas these guys, yes, they are slightly gifted by genetics, and you might be thinking, well, I'm not gifted by genetics, and I'm also not gifted by genetics, but honestly, if you just build the physique, you will still get carryover. Like, I guarantee these guys' faces improved. These guys' overall aesthetics and attractiveness improved because they built a good physique as well. And by the way, if you want to learn how you can take yourself from a nerd to being an attractive guy like these guys and actually get the real world results like I'm getting myself, then check the link in the description. But with that being said, if you build a halo physique, right, you will notice that you won't even have to directly work on your social skills. Obviously it's essential. Obviously you can't just be a complete dickhead and not know how to say hi to people on the street. But it's going to leverage the positive bias that people will have, and you'll be able to enter conversations, enter social states, a social flow way better, because you've built something, because you've built an asset that is attractive to the population and that demands respect and that demands attraction from both genders. And then on top of that, if you meet the other prerequisites of attraction and of being, social and confident, like learning how to groom properly, like learning style, like learning general social skills, then you will be way better in a social environment. You will completely change from a nerdy, indoors gaming loser to some guy who can be social, just like I did myself. And if you want the specific way you can do this, and not just building an attractive physique, then check the link in the description for my community. Remember, the progress is purpose, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.